I think the outcome for M80 is going to be way different this time. I think as they come into the LAN environment, they're a lot more nervous and they're not playing as the same. So I think this matchup for us should be easier compared to before. I think they can pull out surprises. They did change their fracture comp from KO to Sova, so we have to be prepared for anything.
For the guard match and for us, there's never really a clue as to how you can tell how the match is going to go. Both teams kind of adapt to try to counter the other team, so it's never really going to be a stomp.
In my opinion, we put in way more work and way more effort than any other team here, so that gives me confidence that we work harder than everyone else. So I'm just confident in our time spent practicing.
I'd like to beat the guard again. I'd like to 2-0 the guard. I'd like to 2-0 every team in this event. I personally think we're going to beat the guard. I think we're going to demolish the guard. We're going to demolish every other team in this event. I would say it's important for us to beat the guard here, just mainly because I want to play the Union. However, if we don't end up beating the guard, I'm still down to beat them later in the event.
Hello everyone and welcome back to VCT Ascension Americas. Though, I'm not gonna lie guys, with the matchup that we have ahead of us, I kind of feel like we're back in Challengers here. M80 in the guard, I mean, they went all the way out to Brazil ship for this.
I mean, hey, why not? Fly to your home facilities, fly to Brazil, fly wherever you want. I'm here for this matchup every day of the week and twice on Sunday. It's been tight every single time we've watched them play. Sometimes it's been M80 getting on top of the guard, other times it's the guard coming on top. The only thing we know is that you're going to expect to see tight maps. Whether it's 2 maps or 3 maps, we're going to be seeing some real tight affairs here because both teams have very similar map pools. They're very fluid across the entirety of the map pool as well. So I think we're going to see a lot of cool flexibility. And I also, the small early prediction, wouldn't be surprised to see somebody pull out something very weird for this matchup since it does matter a ton towards potentially making it into VCT.
I thought you were gonna go with the more a typical standard prediction of, hey, this could actually be our first map 3 of the entire Ascension tournament so far. Nah, I'll do the basic take. I'll do the basic take then. But Dan, I feel like too, reckon everything here, that being able to see M80 in the guard play, this will be really interesting just because with how things were left off between them before.
And it's so interesting too, not only because we know these teams from challenges like you guys were saying, but also because this is a whole new environment to deal with, and we got to hear the players just talk about it, right? A guard that when we think about the experience that they have playing on LAN, playing internationally, if we think of last year in Masters, and then they went on that online grind, playing for challengers, making it all the way to the grand finals multiple times, and then M80 that does have some LAN experience as well, but it's not to that same level. And I feel like in the first day when we got to see them losing against the Union, it did show that. So are they really feeling comfortable enough, or is this going to be a factor that is going to play to the strength of the guard? Because if you were watching the guard against 9C match, they were feeling pretty good throughout the entire thing.
I don't blame them. I don't blame them. Out of all teams, I feel like the guard would absolutely thrive in this environment. But I am excited with what we've gotten to see most recently out of M80 here, Shift, and how well they were able to play in their last match, because we're talking about them getting off a little bit of the dust and stuff. So this is the time, and they are pumped up having beaten 9Z to try and move on to face against the Union.
Yeah, both these two teams carry a very similar statistical line when it comes down to where the advantages or disadvantages may be when it comes to things like full buys, even ecos, disadvantages, advantages. They both carry very similar stat lines. I think the thing about it, and kind of like Dryad was mentioning, there was that little bit of a roll in and kind of get warmed up process for M80, but you can hear it every time we get these little video clips. M80 wants to play the Union real bad, like just not only for the whole region to say, yes, we are indeed better than the Union, but I think more so for themselves to prove at the moment of, hey, we are better than these guys. That first match was a fluke. So that's a little bit of extra onus, but I don't think anyone's looking forward to the upper bracket finals just as of yet. It's all about what happens right here in this one.
It really, really is, especially too, since we've talked so much at length at these teams and how there is these history of these teams. I feel like this will be really interesting because this isn't like this has been a really one-sided affair between these two teams in the past. These are matches that have gone in either or direction, Dan. So I feel like that means going into today, it makes it so much more even than if this was just something that was a clear M80 sweep across the board.
But I'm gonna be honest, everybody talked about how close these two teams are, how close they were in North America and Challengers, but there's been a clear domination from M80 in recent history. And I know it's not a long history, it's only 2 times that they won, but it was 2 times in a row. And the first one that we saw back then, when you see that guard win, it was that season 1, or the split 1 week 5, so far back. After that, it's been M80 honestly being the most dominant team. And even though the guard is always good for one map, there's still kind of the narrative, right, that M80 is the best team and they should be the favorites today.
It will be really interesting too, with this new environment now being introduced to these teams, despite the fact that in the more recent history that this has been a little bit more M80 favored, where exactly this is going to be. And this is actually a really fun matchup on today of all days. It is, of course, the 4th of July. It is the America's Day for the people here. But now we have Canada versus the USA. So this is something that Alan tweeted about, looking, Dan, to get revenge.
I mean, happy 4th of July, everybody. It doesn't get more American than this, more North American than these for the specific matchup. And you see the similarities between the two, kind of talking about it. Hey, it's 4th of July, one team trying to go for that revenge, that being the guard in the past 2 matches that they lost against M80. And of course, an M80 trying to keep that streak going, trying to stay on that winning side, as Koala Noob says.
100%. So it'll be fun now that we got, of course, both of the teams that here in the Challengers we got to send on forward to now have the Canada versus the USA, and some really strong individuals here that have been showing up, because we got to see in yesterday's match that Nismo was just absolutely on fire. But of course, too, there is powerhouses when we're looking on the other side.
Yeah, here's the thing about this is these are your top 2 players, period, in Ascension. So yeah, it's gonna be fun to watch them square up against one another. But on top of that, there's also the X factor that Nismo is starting to really show his flexibility. He did it yesterday. He's done it, of course, over the course of the group stages. Him being able to flex onto arrays if necessary and kind of play a more frag entry role has also kind of opened up M80 to a new level. So there's a little bit of that going on, but Trent, from the same point of view, just as clutch as Nismo, if not maybe even more so. It's one of those things that you look at his performances over the course of every single stage that he's played, whether you look just at Challengers, here at Ascension, or even before that, he's always had the X factor for this team, and definitely one of those things that, yeah, we're looking to see these two guys square up and maybe see multiple 1v1s between them on top of that.
We have a lot of head-to-heads that we always talk about, both internationally and in North America for Challengers. But I feel like for ACS, it doesn't get closer than this between the 2 best players when it comes to ACS that we have in Ascension right now. Going crazy is Trent and Nismo. And I know we already talked about Nismo, but I think Trent has just always been that guy. It's unmatched what he can do, and especially in recent history, in that second split, in playoffs, he became a lot more flexible than before. A player that we used to know a lot of for that Sova, for that initiator role, and now we get to see on Viper when it comes to Haven, we got to see on Fade, we get to see a little bit of Race. He's giving us just everything that we could dream of.
Especially too, you're talking about Trent having just been that guy. I feel like too, for both of these teams, this is going to be the match where there has to be that, yeah, A factor. You have to be on your game, considering there is all the history. We've talked about the fact that teams will have certain tape on one another. They'll be reading the strat book. They'll be going on through. Not only do we just have all of this tape, but that tape then shift having been from each other, I feel like that adds an extra little level as we head into today.
Yeah, I think the thing in particular that we need to keep an eye on, not just us, but you guys at home, watch the rounds that are full gun rounds versus full gun rounds, because that's often where these series have been determined. Yeah, of course, both teams have been able to showcase moments of Thrifty's and eco disadvantages still coming their way, but every single time we've watched these two teams play in the past, we're looking at 13-11s, 13-10s, really, really tight maps in which more often than not, the win condition lies in a critical round where there's 3 or more ultimates and both teams are at full purchase. That's when we're going to start to see the depth of the guard when it comes to their ability to adapt at IGL, whereas we also like to see for M80 moments of very clinical and categorical aggression where they're going to stack you and hit you with like 45 seconds remaining into a round with everything that they have. Sometimes it works for either team, other times it doesn't, but those are the critical rounds that have often been the determining factor of these matchups in the past, and I expect nothing less for this matchup in particular here, trying to get to the upper bracket finals.
The fact that there has been maps that have been so close between these two teams, minus a list that I'm pretty sure the guard kind of want to forget about over here, but I feel like that makes things really interesting then as we speculate then, Dan, how this map pool is going to be shaking up, because we know that the map pools are deep. We've gotten to see very, very recent tape in a best of 5 and how things were going down. So I feel like that raises a lot of question marks for today.
And this is something that M80 has talked about in a couple of interviews that we had for challenges. The guys were saying we have a 7 map pool. It doesn't get better than that. We are able to play anything that is brought to us, any selection that the enemy team brings to us, especially when it's the Garden, when you know them that well. But I feel like part of it also comes from something that is very unique to M80, and is the amount of set plays that they have. It's insane. You see it across Ascent, Haven, you see it on Lotus, you see it in every single map. They have some crazy ideas that sometimes involve a lot more aggression, and this is the way that we know M80, the aggression that they like to bring, the way that they set up their duelists for success, and the guard on the other side. And something that Chef was saying, how are they going to be able to read this? How are they going to be able to read those set plays? And I feel like that also connects to a guard that is used to this because of the matchup, and that we got to see on that match against 9Z, where 9Z also had a lot of set plays, and for the guard it was like nothing because they're used to it.
I think on top of that, I know that we kind of used the graphic to point to both Trent and Nismo as possibly being a key head-to-head, but don't sleep on the Jet versus Jet battle. Often this series is also determined by what happens between Koala Noob and Tex. I'm thinking back to the Grand Finals, and Tex did not have the same kind of takeover dominance in that particular series than Koala Noob did. He's often, again, what we talked about from the last series, that one player that could be just a difference maker by himself. He's going to win rounds individually. We haven't necessarily seen that level of Tex in quite a while, and often in the 2 losses that we've seen the guard take versus M80, he hasn't been as much of a stapled factor as we're used to seeing in his come up and his establishment throughout the early parts of this Challengers year. So that could also just be a flat out, very face level thing that we can look at, is what happens between the 2 main duelists as they square up very regularly on Jet against one another.
That is also a really good point when we think about the history back then, and we think of challengers and these duelists, how they were going to play out. There's some duelists that we get to see kind of making it all the way to the end of their round, but a dude that have had those times where they struggle just a little bit more. And I feel like for the guard, that is going to be the key, where you see a guard trying to set up that duelist for success, trying to set up the whole team for success. And in M80, that in a lot of rounds, because the aggressive style that they like to bring, they're also able to bring those set pieces with only 2-3 players, and that is going to be it, while everybody else is able to kind of get that information across the map.
The one thing that I really like about the guard, though, just in general, that, I mean, Shift, you're highlighting that Tex just hasn't quite been that, whoa, Tex right now. It's more like, yeah, Tex, you know? But I feel like the guard is a team that's really good at everyone can be enabled and kind of be stepping up to where maybe it's something that hasn't been quite as noticed, whereas I feel like that is something that could really start to be quickly highlighted and potentially exploited when you're squaring up against a team like M80 that not only is such an explosive powerhouse, but is also so aware to how little Tex can be in those moments.
Yeah, I mean, you could slice the pizza starting at any point in time when it comes down to it. And I think that this is going to be a matchup that we could point to 18 million different things of where this could be a win or a loss for either team. I think just more recently, you look back to what the history has been. And yeah, kind of that clinical aggression that M80 has kind of taken as a moniker of success, even in moments where Nisbo's been able to go into things like a raise. That was a very unexpected element at the end of the Challenger season. And that has kind of kept the Guard a little bit maybe bewildered at times, where they don't necessarily know where to expect the aggression to come from. Where in the past, when the Guard has been better than M80, it's because they've dictated the control and tempo of how the map is playing out. So I think it's one of those things that it's going to come down to, can the Guard establish that early presence and force M80 into more difficult spots, because the trend lately has been M80 getting away with whatever they want, essentially.
Well, we have the rematch of the rematch on the horizon here. We're going to be taking a short break, so you can make sure your popcorn is ready. Make sure to be back soon. USA versus Canada, the Guard versus M80, a matchup that we've gotten to see play out a few times as these teams tried to journey to make it into Ascension Americas, to prove that they're that team to earn their full-time spot. This is a series, Dan, we've gotten to see play out so many different ways, but where is it going to play out where it truly matters?
In so many different tournaments too, in the regular season, in the mid-season face-off, during the grand finals, and now here in Ascension. I can't wait to see who's gonna come up on top. Two teams that we've talked about constantly in North America, about how good they are and how the expectations are on these two. These are the two favorite teams to make it all the way to that Americas League next year, and it is for a reason, right? We talked about the stats, we talked about the individuals, the talent is there, and we've known about it since last year. So now is a chance to see who comes up on top.
You're talking about talent that we've gotten to see play out, and I feel like the Guard is the epitome of that. They had this core, this team shift has shown us so much, and this is a team that could be deserving so many times through and through of this spot.
Yeah, I think the two biggest point outs that I want to kind of mention here are VALORANT and Jonah P. I know I spent some time talking about Tex, and of course we know what we're going to get from Trent, but those are the known qualities of this squad. What we need to see here from the Guard is good communication and good dictation of space between VALORANT and Jonah P. When the Guard wins, those two players are incredible at being able to set up their playmakers in Tex and Trent. So it doesn't just come down to the fact that Trent is your current top leader when it comes to overall statistics. It doesn't matter that Tex at one point in time was arguably the best duelist in North America. For me, it starts before they get involved, and it comes by the way of VALORANT and Jonah P. If they can get good initiation and good control on these sites, depending on what maps we see, that is the recipe for success for this Guard squad. So I'm putting a lot of stress to see what those two can do.
They definitely got work cut out ahead of them, though, because M80 through Challengers has been one of the teams that we've talked about the most, and they're the team to prove that they were the ones to be talking about taking it all the way. And I mean, for good reason, Dan. This team is so explosive. How they can just come out of the gate and obliterate teams is like nothing else at some points.
And these two teams are able to do so, but M80, once again, the team that has remained the number one in North America, is the one that you want to keep your eyes on, and you start to wonder how that experience from the Guard is going to play out today, how it's going to shape. We got to see them talking a little bit in a circle, just making sure that the energy is high, the vibes are just going the right way for this one. And I'm excited too to see the clutchers that we have on these two teams, which is insane, by the way. The clutches that we've seen, you can think about it from VALORANT on one side, you can think even about the duelists making it all the way until the end of the round, but you know, in those maps and with how close these two teams are in terms of level, you're gonna be seeing a lot of those.
Well, this is the moment. We've seen how many times these teams have played, how things have panned out with their map picks and bans shift. How about though in this series?
Yeah, the Guard getting rid of Lotus, it may seem strange looking at their overall record, but you have to remember the last time they played M80, they got stomped there, and they just watched M80 absolutely destroy 9Z. So that's one of those things you stay away from. And the interesting thing about Haven and Ascent, and why I think this is the one that goes to 3 without question, is for Haven, the Guard have never beat M80. But for Ascent, M80 have never beat the Guard. So if we do get all the way to Pearl, that would also be a map that over the course of the history has always gone the way of the Guard. So this is going to be about patterns and trends. Granted, the sample size for some of those are relatively low, and on top of that, some of the results have been tremendously close, looking at worst at 13-8 tally on Ascent. So this is one of those that, again, you could barely put a piece of paper between the two of them. These are two really tightly matched teams. I'm expecting some fireworks here, no matter how many maps we get.
Just in time for the 4th of July with those fireworks. So
easy play on words.
It should be fantastic. But that's what I think is most interesting with the maps. The fact that there is these maps that the team has never beaten the other on. They have that tape. They have that information now, Dan. So how does that play out? Are we going to see that history repeat itself? Or is there going to be enough on tape that they can make that change?
To me, it's not even what you have on tape, is how you're gonna adapt, how that mid round is gonna look for both of the teams, especially the one that has a little bit more to prove for this match and to move forward in the upper bracket, that one being the Guard. You need to keep an eye on what VALORANT is gonna do in that mid round, Haven on that second map, and that third map. And I think Haven is a good way to start us off. Nothing really changing as much. This is that one map that I mentioned where Trent is gonna be on that Viper, and in a meta that has become more and more visible, especially in North America. So a Guard that got to implement it at some point and they got to keep it for this one.
Yeah, and it'll be cool the fact that we've gotten to see how this plays out, Shift, with these teams, with these squads.
Yeah.
If this will now change up.
The thing is, the comps rather are not going to change, and there's really no reason that you do change that if you're M80. Both times you've played the Guard, you were a single round away from sending it to overtime. It's two different 11-13 losses. So again, it's not anything major when it comes down to who holds advantages or disadvantages over the overarching approach to the map. Sometimes it's just one good decision or one little small mistake, largely coming in those full gun rounds versus full gun rounds. That is the dictating element of how this match may play out. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Again, I'm just waiting to watch some good freaking Valorant today.
Well, we're about to, because it's the North America face-off now. Sully, up mine. This one's gonna have some fireworks. I hope you're ready.
Thank you guys so much. A North American rematch on soil in São Paulo, Gus, which is the most interesting thing. How blessed we are to have two teams coming into this for a rematch in top form.
We are blessed to be seeing not only, of course, an M80 who have had to really climb their way back from the very beginning of this tournament, looking scrappy, looking like a team who had land jitters, to now getting both teams at their true top form, both the Guard and M80 facing off on land. Again, like you said, this is a blessing.
And for what it feels like, M80 are kind of coming into this with a mentality of, dude, we don't care. We just want to rematch the Union. But Guard have been a very impressive team, and that's one that is going to be hard to topple over. The way that the Guard have been playing up until this point, the group stages was flawless from these guys. They look like a very well-oiled machine. Whatever Josh RT has been doing behind the scenes, it has been working since Challengers.
I mean, they've been the cleaners. They have been the closers. Pretty much every team has had some sort of struggle series that they could talk about, but the Guard made their way past the group stage with total ease. M80 coming into this, like I had mentioned, they started the tournament with land jitters. They had never been on this stage before. In fact, this is the highest level game that we have ever seen in Tier 2 Valorant, in North American Valorant, period. This is the first time that we're seeing two teams of this caliber in a LAN environment in our region. And again, M80 coming into this tournament, they weren't exactly fully mentally there, and they needed the Union to show them that.
A new stage, and both teams have absolutely stepped up to it. These two teams, I love the way Shift put it. You could put a paper between them, and that's how close they are. I don't think everyone will remember the statistic, but both Nismo and Trent being our two ACS leaders in Ascension, arguably the two strongest players on their teams individually in terms of what this event has been, are separated by a measly 0.5 ACS, which is something not to scoff at. It kind of just shows how close these two teams are, and when it comes down to it, it will be the individuals I think will be the difference maker in a lot of these decisive moments.
Right. I mean, you talk about history with these two teams, right? I mean, Haven alone, you already had 13-11s the last two times that we saw that map. I think the only way that we've actually differentiated this series is in that third map that we haven't really seen these two teams face off on. But God, truly speaking, we've seen at least both teams come back to that form that we expected them to be at before this tournament. The Guard, they came at the gate swinging. Again, like I said, they've been the closers. They've been the cleaners.
And they have that experience going all the way back to Reykjavik. Rookies to Reykjavik, I think, was the call. And they're no longer rookies here. Tex, I think, was the only person that there were questions of were there going to be jitters. I think certainly we saw a slight display of it during his first map, but afterwards, I think the experience of his other 4 teammates certainly come into the forefront of, you know, this team. I mean, these are 2 teams built around family, especially this Guard side. Trent said it himself. He's had offers from franchising teams, but he spent more time with this Guard lineup than he has with his own family this year. That is not something that should just be taken lightly. It's a bond that can't be broken, and this Guard team has come a very, very long way since the VCT circuit in 2021.
And overall, we're looking at 2 teams that they had perfect chances to make it to franchising already last year. M80 and the Guard, they're looking to fully take control of their destinies just with this one match alone.
And this one will be close. 13-11, 13-11. The 2 previous map scores of Haven. Guard never taking M80 down on this map. We'll see if that changes here today. They will start with an approach towards this A side, but what we've seen lately is the Guard not execing fully in these early opening duels. Again, this will be a massive battle, and it will come down to some individual plays in these decisive moments which we're seeing approach towards B.
The Guard barely even put out a look over towards that A side, even though they did contact short. M80, they're fully ready for this. The patience is unreal. The stun coming in from the back of sight. The Guard needing to back out immediately.
And quickly, M80 immediately adjusts. That fault line they know will send these players back, and you can quickly see EU in a spot where he's looking to punish off of that turret towards Garage, expecting that's where the redirect will go. But they don't see anything. And M80 have almost got this stack completely right. Plenty of time, though, here for the Guard to pivot out if they want to.
It's an unreal shift. They have so much potential over towards that A site. Immediate jet smoke alongside the flashes, alongside the shock darts. A lot of options here on this A side, and the Guard are walking right into it.
Nismo has a flash already over towards default. As soon as Qualanoo makes a contact. Spotted.
If Qualanoo gets a contact, Tex sees that, immediately backs up, but they actually make noise over towards long.
No. You need to back away here. M80 have just way too much control on this backside, and the Guard have recognized that.
There's nothing C.
Just John QT here on the B side. He'll be looking for at least a lurk here as the Guard kind of swing their way towards C. This is a good post plan here for the Guard.
Ned can just cut it down. That's all he's here for. And not even. He's not even looking to cut down the rotation. Instead, he's going to look to really surprise M80 as the take goes down. There's another player over towards Garage at the moment, but the retake is already happening. M80, all 5 players coming out of the back of sight. Tex holding down 1. Here comes the rest. Jonah P looking to take down Nismo. There goes the spray in coming in from VALORANT alongside Trent. And Xander is still stuck in the smoke. The Guard completely funnel M80.
And they are so ready for that fast retake. The Guard, they've been so successful in their retakes, or apologies, their post plans. They are second only to the Union. With a 76% post-plan win rate, they've been one of the more dominant teams in Ascension. And getting that spike down, they just play together, play the numbers, are ready for apologies, M80, who come in very, very hot. 5 players kind of swarming in through the backside. But this round was decided ultimately because of a massive mid-round call from VALORANT. Yeah. Recognizing the fact that there was a heavy stack towards the A side, that all the information was fed towards M80, and that will be the deciding factor. Not only just the individuals, but these quick, instantaneous mid-round calls that we'll see from both these teams. They are no strangers to one another. They've played 3 times prior to this, and they understand each other to a T. So when we're looking at this matchup, it's what decisions are made once the info has been collected. Both teams love their set pieces, and it's after those set pieces have gone, what happens between the 10 players.
This side, we're going to be seeing the Guard with an insane amount of execute potential. Its attack has been strong in the past. M80 have seen pretty decent retakes, but the most that we can really talk about is their mid-rounding.
Toxin screen down.
And up close, Xander, he's got it, Koalnoob not too far away. And this is aggression that M80 will show later on in their rifle rounds. Xander in a good spot where he can maybe get something. Xander up close, just a quick right click. Gets shut down by Tex immediately after. Some kills could be had here, though, for M80.
That's for sure. 1 goes back. Okay, nice. That was clean through the box. What are you?
30 seconds left.
Putting in his own little glimpse in the round. Picking up 1 kill back again. The Guard
I think it's an A hit here.
needing to reinvest a little bit going into the next. This is starting to look good, actually, for M80.
They can get maybe 1 extra kill. I think you'll be pretty happy here if you are M80. But walking away with this Bulldog and Guardian is already a pretty big boost
And
to
can
their
hunt a
bonus
little
round.
bit too. Close to the pit just a little bit, but M80 coming in from the A link. They're going to be completely out in the open where, again, the guard. They do have crossfires pretty much ready. 2 players playing anti-flash. This is very safe, other than the fact that net over towards mid.
Player standing.
It's going to be that full clean contact, and they have a clean angle on him, but net does survive.
A 2-0 sweep here for the guard just to open it up. Again, that mid-rounding decision coming from VALORANT calling off the C hit after losing players. I think they understood the danger and how quick M80 would have rotated in this round. You can see 3 players. They leave just Jonah P to make the contact, buy time for his players to rotate. But
Player standing.
keeping a fair bit of players here alive is going to be a big bonus here to the guard. Again, moving forward with a Guardian and a Bulldog to close down the distance in a lot of these long angle duels. I want to make one of the other things I'm excited to see is how much guard will talk in this matchup. They've been a very loud team this event.
This is the first time we've ever seen NA versus NA on LAN, so absolutely, where is that animosity? Koala Noob getting shut down early, and again, this is the big gun round for M80. They put Koala Noob in that Hail Mary positioning. He's not able to do anything. EU, the only one here on A, potentially looking to hold things back.
Kwanu was playing an anti-flash, expecting a quick play out towards long, and he got it, but he wasn't ready for it whatsoever. EU does get some contact, and he has elected to play on this site, but now things slow down, and it's up to the guard's decision. Do they continue to this site? These last 2 rounds might send M80 a wrong message about making a rotate.
And EU might be making the wrong decision himself unless he can get one back.
He had a
but
recon
Tex
bolt.
just
I
gets
don't know
the
why
angle.
he didn't use it there. He definitely could have gotten the info that way. Now just Nismo.
Do they know about Nismo? Nismo not getting cleared. Nismo moving around, able to get one. How many more can the chef get? He only gets 1 out of that. John QT.
Player standing.
He ends up picking up the paranoia at the same time. Tex takes him down. A light round for the guard, but again, this was the big buy from M80. They're gonna get reset, and this is gonna lead the guard on a bit of a cakewalk. Xander does pick one back, and this is a very important save. Still the
Holding
guard.
onto one rifle. If he's lucky, he'll get away with it on 15 HP. Guard might go hunting for this as well, just to remove any unknown quantities for that next round. But still, the guard, again, just shutting things down. Finding that first kill into Koala Noob, and then you'll see how they will slow things down despite getting that first pick. Guard are a team that love to make mid-game adjustments, and very quickly, despite getting a kill, some teams will just instant hit that site, but not the guard. We'll see this multiple times throughout this series, and what they've been doing throughout the entire Ascension tournament is slow things down after that first pick and that mid-round decision from VALORANT. Often catching a lot of teams off guard. You can see EU as well wanted to go for a re-clear. I mean, he had a recon bolt, but he just goes for the swing by himself with no util support behind him, which was a little bit strange, but the idea is certainly there. M80 actually investing a little bit back into this round. Koala Noob had a judge. Now he'll sell it, and I'm curious as to what he's going to buy because he's nowhere near the knives just yet.
They're going for pretty much the same buy, maybe even the same play. Not at all, actually. Koala Noob's all the way over towards C. I'm looking for a much different position. M80 still with 3 over towards the A side, but the guard, they're making their first C approach for the first time again.
Pretty fast here as well. This doesn't look like there's any fake whatsoever. Just trying to be very rustic, no lurks on any part of the map. And M80, they've actually slowed things down for now. That Nanostorm as well, gonna buy some time. This is the guard drawing util, drawing rotates. And I think Jonah P's been able to get onto his ult here. I don't know if he was 2 off or 1 off. It'll update here in a second, but it looks like he is only 1 away from that ult.
80 have not relinquished their positions over towards long, and if anything, they're finally pushing up. This might be at least good timing for one, but this is going to lock the players over towards A potentially. This smoke alone, if they can make the shift back over towards B quick.
Xander's just re-cleared over towards sewers. He's got a paranoia that he can launch here as soon as that alarm button goes off, but he's actually going to make the rotate instead. We'll see if Nismo drops a fault line.
This is going to be so unreal for Koala Noob. How many can this man realistically get? The alarm bot.
Jonah's got a flash, though, so they should be pretty good going into the site, I hope.
This should be perfectly fine, truthfully.
They literally already pinged out the alarm bot as well. There was just a ping on the minimap.
Now the guard are taking their time no matter how you look at it. Again, Koala Noob not relinquishing this position. The alarm bot is going to catch him first. And indeed, he does get one. And the paranoia is right there at the same time. And he even still has support from EU if he does have the shock dart to use. Trent.
Too late.
An unbelievably close spot, but if that stun doesn't come out, he could really put on some
10
fireworks.
seconds left.
Good stuff from Nismo, though. Good call out from Nismo. 7 seconds left, 6 seconds left. The guard, they're just going to give up the round, and M80, the Hail Mary buy, keeps them in the game.
What great understanding from M80 to layer the util and to understand that the guard probably have got lurks elsewhere on the map, like that fault line to catch Trent off guard after a recon bolt gets sent out towards A late in the round from EU. And you'll see this. This is what separates M80 from a lot of the North American teams, and especially the guard, is how good they are at using their util and coordinating it off of one another. This smoke is extremely well timed. Recon bolt gets sent out.
Too late.
Apologies, over towards the B side instead. But understanding how this guard team is going to play is going to be key here for M80 and making those mid-round and those late-round adjustments.
Get out of my way.
One off the ult here for Nismo. He wants it.
There's a lot of pressure from M80. Double, triple over towards Long.
Down A.
And now make it only a double. EU alongside Nismo. And like you said, the ult point comes out. Nismo with the rolling thunder.
Oh, Tex!
Tex, that was actually a left click. That's unreal. And now Nismo down and out for the count. EU not able to do anything over towards the long side. The guard somehow coming out of it with an even man advantage.
And M80, maybe not fully expecting this guard team to come out swinging like that. They did put 3 players there, but they walked away with 3. And now a retake setup here. That's a very well-placed paranoia that might give John QT some space.
Hail Mary. Oh my goodness. From downtown, that paranoia comes in, but still. Oh, a good guiding light right in front of EU, and EU can't do anything. Xander, last one in a 1v3.
Spike planted.
Still has a smoke, still has a TP. But the guard, they're already going to start
Tex.
making it difficult. Good jump coming in from Tex, already getting the early info, and Xander might already save.
We'll have a buy still here, though, from M80, no matter what. So, our 6th round will be a full buy between these two teams, but guard looking to deny that early ult grab from Nismo, who has been playing the mid area like this, like, A-link area on B, and guard reading into this round pretty well here. Putting 3 players there, the updraft from Tex looking to punish as he goes onto the ult orb. A 4-1 start here for the guard on Haven. Again, a map that doesn't typically go the way of the guard. 0-2 against M80 at this point in time, and we are expecting a very close one. His rifle still again left over for Xander, a buy in the books for M80, and some ults starting to come online here as well. And there it is, the first op for Quality, but a tactical timeout called. This should be something the guard are anticipating as we have our 2 op leaders on the server between Tex and Quality.
But what exactly can you anticipate when you're looking at Koala Noob's op on
Right.
defense? This is one of the most mobile players, one of the most mobile pieces that you're going to see on any defensive side. Koala Noob makes this gun look a lot of fun.
He's collected 18 kills so far in Ascension as our #1 op kill leader. We'll see Tex probably pull it out a little bit later at 13 kills. He's our #2. So once again, these two teams very evenly matched. They have very similar play styles, and once again, the discrepancies will come in those mid-round decisions. And you're gonna have to pivot around this operator now.
Right.
If you're the guard and trying to figure out, okay, how do we remove this? It's gonna draw more utility out. And for M80, I think Happy's given some words of how he wants his op to be played with. And maybe we'll see some aggression from this as well. Quality loves to play this A anchor, and it gives a lot of more freedom for the rest of his team to make these like 4-player stacks. He's like, what this 3-man hold on Garage and C. So I'm curious to see how they'll pivot this op around and how guard will anticipate it.
They're going to be a massive combination of util where Koala Noob is going to stay with this op. Oh yeah, absolutely there is. It's going to be an Omen alongside the breach.
They're all walking down towards mid. There's a recon bolt here from EU.
This is going to be a massive combo, but again,
No,
the
he's
guard,
gone for a spam on an Odin of all things.
spam coming in from EU. M80,
He's trying
they
to
do have
force
someone.
them back towards a window where maybe there's a punish from Xander. Yeah, that was the goal, but it doesn't get that actually. Jonah P just heals everyone up with his regrowth.
The guard ignore it. M80 take full control of that mid side, but this is pretty much going to be full A, isn't it?
And EU is going to have to do absolutely insane here. He's got some pings already as to where he wants smokes, and where he's probably going to drop some shocks.
Recon alongside the shocks, alongside the Odin. This could be very good here for EU. Here comes a shock to try to take down the planter once again. He still has a recon bolt if he wants to spray away.
Spike planted.
He has to go away, though. That smoke may go away in just a little bit. Again, EU looking for a ping. Here comes the swing from Trent. Here comes everyone for M80, dropping on down. Koalanoob gonna do anything, and it's Jonah P! Jonah P lining up 3, and Nets comes back and finishes off the round. M80 was in front for the bulk of the post plant there, but the guard takes it all the way back with Jonah P standing tall.
The crossfire between him and Valen. Valen's sitting towards defender spawn, I think in front of a smoke that just dissipated, and it pulls attention away. And the guard dominating these post plants so far. M80 have had no success in these retakes whatsoever. They're 5 for 5 when they get the spike down in this matchup. And M80, they've been one of the better teams when it comes to the retake. If you exclude that Union game, they have an 86% win rate, but they are not looking sharp here against the guard. And once again, they'll be on an eco. Another look towards mid.
Koalanoob finally has his touchdown position. He was trying to get here earlier, but it was actually Xander that took up the position instead. He sits over in mid. Nobody, the guard currently touching the mid side as they do make some contact over towards C long.
Getting Jonah P onto his ultimate. They are just abusing these Seekers to send misdirections. And this guiding light as well is certainly confusing M80 as to where the hit is going to be. But for the first time, the guard are leaning in towards a C hit where they might get caught off guard.
Oh yeah, mouth of the beast here. Everyone essentially for M80 on this side.
Look at that. They've just baited the fault line out. And M80 just checked. They see absolutely nothing. They're going to make this rotate. And in a second here, John QT is out of rotation. He's even pulled his turret away, anticipating an A hit. But Koala hears nothing, so I'm surprised they make this play.
Yeah, this is an unreal redirect.
I've got your trail.
Coming in from M80. Totally calling out the opposite direction. It's insane to think that just 15 seconds ago, 4 players were on this site, ready to hold down the guard. Koalanoob, same thing over towards the mid side. Could have had a big impact on the retake, but hold on now. Tex, a little bit too much dip on his chip. He ends up going down immediately. Valen is the one actually shifting in the middle of sight. He does have a friend here in terms of Jonah P, but Jonah P needs to back away. There's not a lot of util on him, but Valen, he has the one smoke. Net even has a turret to use. Koalanoob getting up another kill, and they still have an Hunter's Fury. There it is, the Hunter's Fury to pressure everyone out. Can they line up the kills? Koalanoob getting up another one. There's 2 players still left. Net spraying away, but everyone gets chipped down from the guard. How does M80 take that one back?
And you really just cannot play down towards long when there's an opponent's Hunter's Fury. There are just so many easy angles to clear out with that. And the guard giving a lot of space to M80. The flank from Net is just a fraction too late. They find that first pick onto Tex, which gives Koalanoob this Vandal, and that's all he needs in this situation. Working off of the Hunter's Fury, pushing and peeking with his team. It's just one angle that this M80 team has to worry about. And with Sheriffs, all it takes is a single headshot. And that was around to get, M80 back into this half entirely. We were looking at this next round if they lost it, but they win the previous one, and it puts them back on pretty even footing. And they're getting aggressive towards A, establishing control and taking it away from the guard. It seems that's what Happy wanted from them.
Yeah, this is as deep of M80 I've ever gotten over towards A main. Koalanoob right next to the entrance, but he also has a friend there trying to burst out. Everyone else from the guard bursting into mid.
Trent will pop this Viper's Pit over towards the B side. Nanostorm to buy a couple of extra seconds, but this retake is a little bit difficult, although M80 are very hot after getting this A aggression.
Koalanoob right behind. There's the info too, but nobody's in bottom mid. There is one currently looking, but they don't know about Net at the moment. But Net gets revealed by Koalanoob. Jonah P with a peek. 3v3 now. One person from M80 coming in for the bottom of mid. Here comes Nismo with the flash. Trent takes out John QT, but you still have Xander stuck in a 1v3. There goes the kill on the Tex, but Trent still has his Viper's Pit alive and thriving as Xander is getting chipped all the way down. There's no snake bite here for Trent, so you're not going to see Xander go down immediately if he does try to go for the defuse, but pick goes down. The guard are able to pick up a 6 to M80. An even retake goes completely the way of the guard.
And Trent has been phenomenal on the Viper. I remember when he was dancing in between the wall in his last matchup against 9Z, Like, just going in between. The way he's been playing Viper on this map of Haven, it seems like he's mastered it. Like, we all loved seeing Trent on Sova, but he has been very impactful in Viper, and his Viper spit doing everything. He fights backside, continuing to contest so that his two teammates, Jonah P and Tex, don't have to worry about getting swung from the backside. And M80 once again will pull out the operator. Koala Noob posting up once again, not on this A site, which is interesting. This is typically where we see those jet ops.
Standing ahead.
Instead of anchoring garage, they're not going to expect that op there whatsoever. The guard, however, all 5 over towards A. They're just walking up with the Viper wall. There goes M80, finally getting revealed. 2 players over towards short, but they do not move. Instead, they start to close in.
Xander's got an assist here if Nismo needs to help him. You can pop a flash, set a fault line, punish any aggression here. So if you are Valiant, you kind of have to be careful. But look at the guard. They're expecting a re-clear here in a second. And that's what they're looking to punish. Net as well has just re-cleared mid. He's got his ult here as well to make a play happen. So M80 playing essentially blind in this round. And yeah, there has been a re-clear effort. But Xander actually spotted nothing. And so space given here to the guard towards A, where they will more than likely use a lockdown towards sewers.
Xander, he could actually help out a bit, and the flash doesn't hit. The paranoia right on, and can he actually help out with the lockdown? But another great paranoia coming out in the hands of Alan. Instead, here comes Tex holding it down. A couple of kills from M80 that they thought would be possible, but it doesn't happen. Nismo with his aftershock able to take it down. The knives do get recharged, but Nismo ends up getting the kill anyways. Koala Noob is down half HP for Nismo. Nismo finds the lineup, but doesn't find the kill. And now John QT, he's even vulnerable and needing to dance now. Now down to 96 HP. Trent, Jonah P, the young guns waiting for their opportunity.
The timing,
Swinging is there. John QT potentially pixels away from getting that spray down and potentially running away and playing with time, but the guard do find the kill anyways.
I was hoping to God that John QT was gonna swing that, but I think being 0-7 might be hurting his confidence, and he's not, fully prepared to take that kind of fight. The guard punishing M80 in that lockdown attempt to break. There's an aftershock and 2 shocks that come in, but guard immediately push. As soon as that util comes out, they know they need to fight this. And M80 dumping as much as they can, but maybe over-investing into that fight. And 7-2, the guard have been one-upping M80 in these mid-round calls, making quick split-second decisions that are winning on these rounds.
Now M80 back down to pistols, forced to make yet another drastic decision early on in one of these rounds. All 4 players grouped up around A, but now hold on. We've seen plenty of early rotations from M80. We've seen plenty of reads go awry for them. But they finally make the hard read over towards A. That the guard were inching their way over, but they peek out maybe a bit too early. Hold on now again. A 3v3 with Koala Noob picking up a shot off the Marshall. Everyone else for the guard going up towards that mid side. There's no util here. Guard are going to be safe with this plant. For how long?
Toxin screen down.
Should be able to get away with this round here. I love this from Trent, getting aggressive, but he is by himself. Alan not too far. You can drop a smoke, maybe even a paranoia. You should know there's one towards heaven after hearing the updraft.
Yep, absolutely. Paranoia going in at the same time too from Valen, but Koala Noob is still fine, but this is chunked off a lot of time off the clock. John QT coming in again, no kills for John, and that's not gonna change at all going out of that play, but here comes Koala Noob.
Nismo, what the heck?
There you go, the Jedi and the Padawan come up big again.
Thrifty.
M80 finally get around back in the half.
What just happened? I swear I looked away for half a second, and Nismo just finds a double on the Ghost. Once again, the individual plays are sometimes all you need in a matchup as close as this. And Nismo finding 2 on a Ghost. I have to see this replay back. He aftershock clears and forces a swing.
1 enemy remaining.
And Koala Noob with his swing. Look at the 1v1s they isolate. That was beautifully done by Nismo and Koala Noob. Koala Noob attracting the attention of Trent on that box. And Nismo swinging immediately off of that. And Jonah P, I think, just a little bit too far out to make a trade happen.
Toxins going up.
Happens here though, Xander is getting into a dangerous situation here. A couple of bullets getting rained in. It's going to be 2 over in C.
A retake possibly here for M80 on the C site. A lockdown, Rolling Thunder to get back into it, but they will be fighting Garage here.
Toxin screen
Valen
down.
alone, now accompanied actually in a second by Trent.
My word. What can the guard pull here? They're gonna establish these players in garage. They can leave one of these guys here for a minute.
They're looking
Try
for
to
the
go up
lurk.
into B.
They don't need to be here because they're the smokes players, the controllers. They can back up and maintain garage. This will limit M80 for their
Nismo.
retake points.
Oh, Nismo, he no longer has the spike denial.
Planted.
He's gonna go for the rolling thunder potentially to try to take away the
What a
spike.
flash.
But he instead gets isolated by Jonah P. Good stuff from Jonah P, like you mentioned, good flash. That lockdown is unreal.
And it's forcing them over in a fight garage here, but there's no flash to set them up.
That's a crazy position. M80 now have B.
Alarm bot will go off here in a second. Wait, no, he's too far away. John QT slipped the net.
John QT taking down Trent, but still net in, looking for another pick onto John. This was in the hands of M80, but it's quickly slipped into the hands of the guard instead. 8-3, and it's bound to get worse.
These post plants have been
round in the half.
unbelievable from the guard. Backing up, and as soon as Net gets a kill, 3 heads spin his way, and they deal with them accordingly and fight back in the middle of sight. The guard in these post plants are good because of the fact that they are so aware and very quick to adjust. That's what's made these two teams
One enemy remaining.
decisive. But the guard here certainly having the better adaptations in these late rounds.
Wow.
And having so much positional space and advantages in these postments is certainly helping them a lot. 8-3, this is not the way this half was supposed to go. This was supposed to be a close game, and it has not been that way.
Valen. Nah, this man isn't gonna go down. He's actually able to run away here off of the Rolling Thunder and see. There's a retake setup.
It just
Is this
doesn't
a Hunter's
reach.
Theory?
Yeah, it just doesn't reach.
What? This is just unreal. The look that we're seeing from M80,
Spike
and not in a good way. John QT is able to take one back. Tex goes down, and M80, they've just given themselves a chance. Jonah P does get the kill back, but EU, Koala, and Nismo,
Look at
they're
the
still
lurk from Net
fresh.
here. Net not too far off of this. He's got maybe 3.
Oh, Nets! Like you said, coming in from behind, he ends up taking down 1. He still has the opportunity for 2 more. EU and Nismo walk right into the crosshairs of Jonah P. And the guard.
Switching sides.
What a debilitating first half.
Jonah P in the playoffs. He was so good during the Challengers playoffs, and he remains as good here in the Ascension playoffs. 9-3. This was a stomping from the guard. Once again, maximizing the fact that they know how M80 will play, know how they're going to rotate, and this mid-rounding calling from Valen absolutely stumping this M80 lineup. John QT and Happy have had no answers whatsoever. And not to mention, there's a lot of phenomenal individual plays coming out from the guard. Working together at times, but also when they need it. Kills like that from Jonah P. Plays like Trent
That's how you
will come up massive. And now on the defense, they put up quite the first half. The offense is where M80 have typically found their stride. So we'll have to see if they can make something happen, what their mid-rounding is going to look like. But right now, this is the guard fully in control.
M80. They don't have full clear objective of what they want to do at the end of this half. Yes, they are going to get this contact up into C. They still have spike all the way back and spawn with a contact over towards A main. The guard, this will allow them to reposition back however they may.
They're playing a retake on the B and C site. Because of this alarm bot and how quick 3 players can get to garage, I'm pretty confident about their retake potential here. Trent does have a singular snake bite, a nanostorm as well to layer on a delay. They've just checked A and they're still rotating towards A, surprisingly. I don't know if we're going to see like a 5-man flank or what's going to happen here, but the noise is not going to be heard, and M80 will get this free spike plant to play a 5-on-5. They've been pretty good in post plants so far since their Union matchup. What have they got here?
I couldn't tell you what the tell actually was there, but this is massive here for M80. An equal chance, an even chance to get themselves back into this game. It's a full 5v5 retake coming in from the guard. It's about to get chaotic, and they've already started with a bit of a bang. There goes 51 HP left on Jonah P. Paranoia going in, but nobody can actually come out from it. That pick over towards Long was so important to get. Koala Noob and EU holding down Garage.
Yeah.
And Tex couldn't do anything in long. It was a 5v5 and it ends up in a 5v none. A Zenny flawless.
No, that was beautiful from M80 in that post, just separating the focus of this retake from the guard. They sent a paranoia, I think, towards Garage, and then immediately after a fault line as well, just pushing theirs back so they can fully focus towards defender spawn where Qualinoob was already posted up. That was a very well played post spin and a very, very much needed one from M80 to keep themselves alive in this map. Now you'll have to keep this next one clean to have a very strong bonus. And those are the win conditions here for M80. Clean round here, win the bonus, you're really back into this game. You don't have a lot of wiggle room to work with.
The guard pushing the situation a little bit. Everyone going in towards that mid area, or at least sitting on this side of the map, because the guard shifting 3 players immediately off of the push from Jonah P. 3 into C. And not only that, but they have full tracking now of the rotations. Jonah P is in spawn. He's actually, what?
And they're rotating towards A. I just don't know what the guard are doing with these early rotates.
I don't think they saw anyone over towards C long, but I think the ult orb was picked up. What is this call?
But you just have Jonah P here, which is why I'm not understanding this play. And I think they're anticipating a rotate. But it's just not going to happen. M80 were just waiting out the defensive smoke and back sight, and now they've gotten through, they've gotten control.
What are they cooking?
And M80 should be getting a 5th here.
All right, here comes guard. They were just taking a measly mid-evening stroll. That's all it was, towards the A site. They now waltz their way back over towards C. Not a single player from M80 is even here. It's a nice little welcome mat.
They're just going to pop into the side, I imagine, here, guard. In just a second, see if they can get exits. With no weapon advantage, no man advantage. This one just doesn't seem possible. M80 making a very clean call here. They aren't a team that will do like those crazy rotates, so I wasn't surprised that they were just going to wait out that smoke and we'll cut noise and just rescale up, which is refreshing from this M80 lineup after the way that the first matchup against the Union went. They seem, again, a lot more confident. This is the attacking side of M80, the more favored side, their map pick. And once again, a map that they've never lost against the guard. And they will have a very strong bonus. Moving into this next round, Nismo, who had a ghost, a hero for M80 yesterday. Multiple clutches, a 1 versus 4, 2 1v1s to close out split against 9Z. Oh, he actually doesn't buy the Vandal. He passed it over to I was hyping this guy up because he had the Vandal, but he just passes it over to Qualinoob. But still, rifles out for both of these sides. And this will be the big test for both of these sides. Can guard actually keep the momentum for the first half?
This is big now, Tex. The big early battle, but it's actually Xander. That TP is back over towards the spawn. I thought it was maybe a cross TP, but it was just a fake. The guard, they bite down on that piece of information, because look at this. There's a player coming in from B Link, already committing himself to the middle of A.
Set piece here. Looks like from M80 to set Qualinoob up to get garage control. I believe there's a fault line set up from Nismo over towards the C side as they try and re-clear this to maybe crunch, but they're just looking to bait out util, and M80 are not getting a lot of it. This Viper's wall is extremely difficult to deal with because it denies a lot of space and a lot of information.
It's just very tough for Net, too. Net doesn't have a lot of info, doesn't have the turret, doesn't have alarm bot in the middle of B either. He has to hard peek if he wants the info, but over towards C. It is finally the take coming in from M80, and nobody holding on to it. The guard are once again going into a 5v5 retake.
The #1 team, though, in these retake situations in Ascension, 46% win rate overall. And the guard, 3 players towards spawn. Qualinoob is again going to get close and fight.
Qualinoob!
He's not blinded!
No, he gets slapped down immediately by Jonah P, and Jonah P does it again! 3 more players remaining here for M80, and they've gone all the way over towards long, and they're all going down! 1 5v5 goes completely the way of M80. This time, everyone from the guard stay alive.
Jonah P in the playoffs, perfectly predicting these 2 backside players. Qualinoob had played that aggressive angle before in the pistol, and so he expected it there once again. Jonah P, 17-8. He has been exceptional on this first map of Haven. And the guard, that's the strengths. Their retakes, so well coordinated in these team fights and working together. It's a 2-pronged attack. 2 players garage, 3 players defender spawn, and they understand the post-plant positions from M80, who have their rifles out off of their bonus. And this will be the guard. What do they want to do? Will they get aggressive? They won't. They've actually used a guiding light that will force A control back. And the guard will look to only re-clear with just John QT.
Uh-oh, Valen. Deep into long at the moment, and he still has support at the moment from Tax, but they are going to clear the angle first. Koala takes down Valen. Tax has an opportunity to avenge his fallen comrade. He does pick up one, but slowly backing up. He does take a little bit of damage, but he does have a rotation in alongside him. But this is different here from M80. Finally, they have some spread map coverage. John QT heading up into A, throwing off potentially the rotation as he has backed up all the way over towards A main.
He's trying to set up for a nanostorm to keep these rotates because he realized this is a retake setup, so he wants to keep these players back as long as he can, which he has done so for now. It's the Heaven play you have to watch out for. Jonah P not in a position to send flashes. They've even lost Valen, so this retake will have to, I think, wait a second to see what Valen, or apologies, Jonah P can cook up.
Right.
They get into it naked? Are you kidding me?
He just goes right in. He just jumps on in without anything. Tex is there too to punish. And now Jonah P. Last one on a 1v2. Certainly possible, though. Both players don't have much to really work with. Double flashes here for Jonah too. May have just helped out his case a little bit. May have flashed you. But he can't make it past the double coverage. M80 keeping themselves alive here on Haven.
That was certainly a surprise from the guard to go that quickly in with no flashes. Trying to catch M80 off guard, just dropping into the site. But John QT just underneath Heaven. Not an angle that will typically be cleared in these kind of execs. And I can't tell if there was a snake. I think he dropped the snake, but yeah, towards the front default. I wasn't sure if, you know, maybe my eyes were deceiving me. He tried to clear out John QT, but no one clearing that angle. And a little bit of a miscue on that drop as well. Both players coming out one by one. And now we'll see Tax with the operator and M80. An extremely heavy lean into this A side.
Tax is
Expecting
gonna have
the
the first taste, the first bite potentially, but nobody actually walking into him. Again, John QT, or not John QT, Jonah P. So one over towards that long side. But he's actually backed out immediately. It would have to be a flash alongside potentially the peek from Tex. But both players playing very defensively. Playing for the second angle these players would have to walk into. But there's nothing else here for the guard either. All three players are still over towards that C area, hunkering down.
That flash is huge.
At least gives them the information.
Jonah P here for now, but the unfortunate thing is Tex has already backed away.
He's dead. Jonah P gone.
Jeez.
And that was the big one. Tex, he picks up a kill there. And the rest of this round is basically still wide open. Instead, we're looking at a 5v3 with the guard running for the hills. They are saving at the very beginning of this plant, and for good reason. A lot of cash. M80, good stuff finally.
Cutting noise and just re-execing into the site. Spotting as well and isolating that fight. They dropped a smoke and cleared out, I believe it was graffiti, with that nanoswarm that John QT sent. And just fault lining under towards Heaven.
Here.
Catching Jonah P out in the open. And I mean, Tax had been in mid-rotation, so he wasn't really going to be there for the fight. And that will be M80 keeping themselves afloat. 7-10. Trent would love to get away with this operator, but he might not. Net losing his life here. Some damage done as well. Trent does thankfully hold on to the operator, so we can pass that back over to Tex. Does have knives to work with here, so I wouldn't be surprised if maybe he pans it to another player, but he's certainly going to be the better one to hold on to it. With a timeout called for the guard, as they will now have to try and break down the mid-rounding of M80, something that M80 struggled with on their defending side. This map of Haven does open up a lot of opportunities for offensive teams to cut noise, make rotations, just because you have to cover 3 sites, and that's why KJ is such a vital agent on this map, because it allows you to just leave kind of the B site a little bit open, and you can prioritize lanes a little bit better without having to worry about like 2 other lanes, basically.
Yeah, still, we haven't really seen Jonah P really step up like that in terms of like the creative util, the creative flashes that we had seen before. We're looking at a guard team that still very much have the advantage, that still very much have some sort of control here on the attacking side, because we haven't exactly seen full exits get broken down immediately by the guard. They do at least get into an even scenario during their execs.
The guard coming out of this timeout, looking to utilize the op from Tex once more. They don't have any ults to work with really besides Seekers, whereas M80, we probably won't see many ults used in this round, but they'll be looking to charge up some, capitalize on the ult orbs, Koala Noob as well, bringing out the offensive operator, something Tex did not do in that first half. M80 looking to punish any players out towards long, as Valen will be the solo anchor here. He's got the hero rifle. Quiet here from M80, eerily quiet. They're not prioritizing really anything, just looking for any punishing plays they could put onto the guard.
Again, they're all wrapping around this op for a good reason. So much utility to be able to answer with once Tex gets that first contact to M80.
Right here.
Very careful.
Expecting aggression here from the Garden. EU will be looking to re-drone, re-clear. But if he doesn't see anything, he might want to get a little bit closer to sell a fake with this drone. But yeah, he is forced to re-clear just because of a lack of information. And the drone spotted as well. Trent might call for some backup, and it looks like he has.
Oh, yeah.
The flash getting nothing here. Never mind.
Oh, wow. It goes a lot deeper than I thought. And it does actually catch players over an A long. So M80, they opt to kind of play with the heartstrings here, with the minds of the guard. Yeah, they put over an owl drone over towards C, and that was the first call. But just a guiding light alone over towards A pretty much calls everyone back for the guard. Now Koala Noob, he may isolate one. Indeed he has.
Once again, M80 in pretty dominant control of this round. Forcing the guard. Oh my god, Koala Noob. He literally just saw like the flash of his elbow, and he finds that kill. M80.
I got your backs.
Great mid-round call there as well, knowing that the guiding light would definitely cue some rotates in a round like that where the guards just don't have the cash to play a spread default defense. M80 making a quick pivot back to the C site with such little time. You kind of have to gamble the guard as to what site's going to be hit, and that flash was kind of the key as to where they were going to go for, red or black. And M80, Hunter's 3, Rolling Thunder, there are those ultimates. What are they looking to do for John QT? An early duel out here towards A, though. A paranoia possibly set, or a smoke.
Oh, it's 4 players. Tex inching up with the stinger. And again, this is so much manpower here for the guard. Oh, there goes Tex. Oh no. Oh no. Everyone else from M80 is basically on this side. They're slowly, very slowly making their way into B, into mid, just so they don't make a peep. And
taking back A control. They know there was aggression here. They're trying to punish these rotates.
Love that. Rolling Thunder coming in. They can still establish B if they want to. What? There comes Nets. Who catches 3, and there goes Tex to finish off the round. What just happened there from M80? They were scrambling.
Net was just so primed for those players to run through. He sits in the smoke. And M80 getting punished for trying to make a very fast switch up from the B site over towards C. And this barrel sticking out is what gives Tex that first kill. And that's what caused an instant reaction. But how quick does Net react here? And you can see a Paranoia was sent in that direction, but it was sent towards Defender Spawn where he expected Net to be. And they didn't anticipate for him to be sitting in the smoke of all places. 3 ults here still for M80 as they go fast towards Garage.
Well, here we go. The guard, they do have one option all the way in the back of C, and it's an explosive
He's gonna
one.
punish? Are you kidding me?
No Tex, he's still gonna go down though. Xander, what a TP.
Sticking it all the way, and here's both lockdowns getting dropped in. Hunter Siri looking to break the defensive lockdown, and it does break at the air very end. EU aware as well of a flank.
EU is just gonna hold on to it. Everyone from the guard sitting on the edge of this lockdown, and EU
sees a flash.
Oh, that was such an important battle to win though for Valen. He goes all the way down to 30 HP. He actually redirects a pretty good way here. He could still help out with the rest of his team. John QT looking for Valen, and indeed he's found it. There goes the call out. Everyone coming out of Garage basically. 2 more players, 1 in the back of sight. John QT with a big kill, and now Jonah P. He's ran out of time, he's ran out of space. The guard run out of time. It's 9-11.
There's again M80 isolating the fights, forcing the Garage players to come out while keeping Jonah P back in Defender Spawn. Success once again in the post plant. And 11-9, the guard starting to run out of steam. This is a huge round for these two teams. M80, if they pick this up, you'll reset the guard here. They won't have a lot of cash to work with. And that smoke in the face of defender spawn, allowing John QT to isolate that fight and both players to swing together. This is everything, the guard. Op once more for Tex. Early Viper's Pit called out, and Jonah P through a smoke.
And he's looking for a whole lot more. Guiding light right behind it. Viper's Pit right next to him. The guard have every option covered right now, but not for a dashing Koala Noob. Koala Noob comes in, sweeps away Jonah P. Again, they still have the pit to deal with, but Trent, look at the HP on Trent. 5 HP.
He's trying to get back into this quick because of the space.
But a shot, and he can go for more. Tex finally showing off his prowess with the op. And John QT is gonna go down in an instant. The guard, one away from closing out this map against M80.
And Tex attempting that very, very quick retake with the operator. Because of Trent's positioning, they knew that M80 would have to fight for some other map control. They lost short, so they have to fight for spawn. You can't just play a post play it all from long. It's so easy to funnel defensive players there and take players out with their util. And so M80 made the decision, we have to push somewhere. And Tex, very ready to capitalize on any pushes M80 wanted. And M80 have some thinking to do in this timeout. The second and final one used in regulation.
Wow.
Decisions to be made here as M80. That was the swing round they needed, and it's put them in a pretty tricky position.
Just hurts to think, right? Just that one player. What small piece of utility could have shut that one man down? Instead, we're staring down the barrel. Again, one more round going the way of the guard for them to close out the map, and M80 have to utilize here.
We'll see in a second what their buy is going to look like. There aren't a lot of ultimates. But these mid-rounding decisions from both of these teams been extremely, extremely close. M80 just, I think, unfortunately catching the worst of the halves and not having a lot of room to make mistakes, whereas the guard have that confidence. And they've been able to build off of it in the very few rounds that they've won here. And the buy, very ready for M80. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a big switch up and see a set piece from either of these teams.
What's going to be the adjustment from M80? They're spreading currently at the moment, but again, the guard. Throw in a look at M80. Where do they end up readjusting to? Again, 2 coming in that mid side. But it's that same peak coming in from Xander to throw off presence over towards A.
The Trailblazer will re-clear A, but what is the timing on this? 2 players getting aggressive as well towards C long. An alarm bot placed in preparation. Same thing with Xander's positioning.
Again, this is completely unheard of for the guard. Tex going up this deep. He's gonna get the 1v1. There goes the pick from Tex, and immediately Valen is there, and Tex gets the trade. 2 more to go. Nismo does get the pick back onto Tex, and we have a chance here for M80 in the middle of C. It has to be a 2v3 though.
2 of the most clutch players yesterday will have to come up huge. The flash doesn't hit. EU spots him, but he loses it.
And Nismo has it all to do, but he just can't uphold any of it. The guard now 1 away from winners finals.
And this was an obscene map to win first. 13-11 is the 2 map scores that we've seen on the last 2 times these teams have played on Haven. And somehow, some way, the guard are able to spin the narrative back, and they take the first map of Haven, a map they've never beaten M80 on. And they start off 1-0 in this North American rematch.
Yeah, but what a strong way to do it. The guard, they had, what, 9-3 at the very beginning. M80, they just couldn't even respond. On the attacking side, we did finally see, thank you very much once again, we did see that return to form a little bit in that second half for M80, but we just couldn't actually see a full flow. The guard, the 9-3 lead, and the fact that we didn't actually see a fully confident M80 really throughout that half, we ended up really seeing the guard look pretty clean coming out of this game.
An exceptional first half from the guard with some great mid-round calling and a standout performance from Jonah P. Pushes guard across the line. Our analyst S will take a deeper dive to give you all the answers.
Knew that we were going to be getting a good series coming out from these two teams, and that definitely did not disappoint. A couple of really interesting things coming out from that first map, though, as the guard is able to take the first map. Shift, you had some very interesting conversation points about the map, including the fact that the guard actually haven't taken M80 down on Haven yet.
Yeah, and it's an easy storyline to try to frame up for this entire series, but the thing about it is, like Sully just mentioned, it's two 13-11s. Like, that's a simple, maybe misclick or bad piece of utility or just, I don't know what, away from an overtime. So these two teams have always been tremendously closely matched, but this was a very different look for a number of reasons, and it starts with the first half. The guard came out absolutely saucy on the first 3 rounds, and then they were able to build economy to a point where up until this pistol right here, you thought the guard was going to maybe be good for 8, maybe even 9 total rounds, which eventually they would be. So it's one of those things that for M80, it just felt like their defense was a bit out of sorts. And for the guard, it was all calm, it was collected. The mid-round adaptations that we saw from them, what we always expect to be their win condition, was chef's kiss. I mean, you just can't say enough about how complete this team is when they're making those late 30-second left in the round rotations like they often do.
We always talk about the IGLing from the guard. We always talk about the mid-rounding, but I feel like they went over and beyond the expectations for this map. We saw it towards the beginning, like Shift was saying, on that first half. All the mental games that ended up playing around, if it was going to be one player all the way in the lurk, then making that whole rotation, Valen given that information from the positions that he was able to get. But that second half was the most interesting one. It gets a lot more challenging against M80. You're starting to lose those trends. You're starting to play a little bit more reactionary against this M80 squad, and then you have the last couple rounds super aggressive coming in. Tex really stepping up and making sure it'll go the way of the guard.
Yeah, and what a match it was. So as we get to dive a little bit deeper into this right away, I'm drawn at Shift. I don't know if we're wholly in on the same thing, but the 13 first kills coming out from M80, but the guard's still having such a fantastic response to that.
Yeah, the mismatch in first kills, but then that's further influenced by how many post-plant opportunities the guard had with lower numbers. So that's where I'm immediately looked to first, was the 13 first kills for M80, but the 11 post-plant position moments for the guard. That's not something you would often see, and maybe there's something to be said on that defensive side where M80, yeah, they were doing fine getting first bloods, but they were, again, getting beat on rotation, where the guard could still get a post-plant put together in a 4v5 at worst and come out on top of it. That is a really surprising statistic, I think, just looking at the first kills versus how many post-plant situations the guard found themselves in. Definitely a key indication of how exactly that first offensive half went for him.
And I feel like the guard, I mean, they're such a good team and be able to hold the bunker down when things are going maybe a little bit awry, like a first kill maybe not going their direction. And I feel like I want to be giving credit to Jonah P specifically for a number of multi-kills that he was able to have, Dan. I feel like he was just like the pinnacle of consistency there.
Right and left, he was finding openings for his team in that first half to secure the 9-3, but also on that second half, when he came to, in a couple scenarios, playing by himself towards that A side, and it was not easy at all because it was an M80 on the attacking side that very early on towards long, they were trying to play for contact. They were waiting for that util to be utilized from that defensive side. And so Jonah P had to be very careful on when that guiding light was going to come out, if he was in a good position, if he was going to be backing up and ready for that retake. There's a lot of things to take into account, but Jonah P just handled them to perfection.
And I think looking at Jonah P's execution, a lot of the moments that Dan's pointing to right now came in full gun rounds that, again, I thought were going to be a big difference maker in this series, and they were. There were 11 full buys for M80 in that game. They only won 4 of them. So you want to talk about the difference between 13 11s and 13 9s. Only winning 4 of your full buys is really going to hurt M80 and possibly live with them as they look towards map number 2.
And a couple of things as we're getting ready for that map too, we wanted to highlight a little bit more, were a couple of the rounds, Dan, that were happening later on.
Yeah, this is specifically about that second half and something that I was talking about early on. Jonah P very up close with his positioning. There's nothing that he can hear right now. He knows he has to go for backing up, playing a little bit backside. And this is actually when things were going wrong for the guard on the second half. They started losing a bunch of rounds, and then you see how fast that execute from M80 ends up being everybody down, and the last couple players end up going for that save. So this is what M80 was doing on the second half that was so effective. But then we have a round like this one where the guard just pushes from the defensive side from A long. Then there is that reaction and those insane 3 kills that come from Net to be able to turn things around. And that was really that round 19. That was the round they gave the map to the guard.
That was such an incredibly quick call too. There's the Rolling Thunder over on A link. So the instant response to the Snakebite, the Paranoia to push them right into the welcoming arms of Net on the other side in the smoke. So
good.
So well played. I'm excited to see both of these teams coming out. Looking to that over on map 2 on Ascent. We're taking a short break, but make sure to be back for it.